What is up, guys? It is Carly here bringing you another weekly dose of horror, and today we are moving along with the Cloverfield films, and we have 10 Cloverfield Lane from the year 2016. Now, this is, of course, marketed kind of as a loose sequel to the first one, although it's nothing like the first one. That one's obviously a found footage monster slash disaster type of movie, and this one plays out just like any old regular movie, and it's not exactly the same exact plot, although it kind of is. But yeah, the plot with this one is you have this young girl who is it starts out with her kind of driving away, and you think she's trying to get away from her boyfriend and just basically run away. So she's driving down the road, and this random truck just runs her off the road, causes this major accident. She passes out and wakes up inside this bunker. Of course, at first she freaks out because she feels she's been kidnapped. She doesn't know where she's at, and this guy by the name of Howard, played of course by John Goodman, comes in and says, like, get used to walking on these crutches, and there's been an attack, and he kind of explains this to her, but she doesn't really trust him yet and still thinks she's been kidnapped. Then he goes on to explain a little bit more, and she finds there's another guy living in the bunker as well, so she starts to kind of be okay, but still be a little bit suspicious, and the whole movie kind of plays out from there, where you're not too sure what's going on, if this Howard character has good intentions, if he's crazy, or what. So, yeah, I saw this one in the theater back in 2016, and I really dug it, and I've watched it, I think, only once since then. I forget where I got this DVD, but I think my mom actually might have bought this and then gave it to me, but seen it once since then, and I dug it then too. The only problem I ever really had with it was the final act, or just the last few minutes in the ending, I guess you can say, and upon this watch, I still do have a problem with that. I just don't think it feels like a different movie, essentially, and it just kind of feels a little bit dumb, for lack of a better word. I just don't like how it all plays out at the end, but when you get into, the first few two acts or whatever of the film, I think it's all great. I think John Goodman is fantastic in this film, and the other actors are really good as well. The whole movie, you're kind of just not too sure if, like I said, his intentions are good, or if he's crazy, or if there actually was an attack but he's still crazy, because the whole movie you kind of do think there's definitely something off about this Howard guy, but he might actually be right. He just might be one of those overly protective people who prepares for things and wants to keep these people safe, because you learn that he has been sort of working on this bunker for a long time coming, and he's just been overly prepared, and he kind of just, some of the things he says to the characters turns out to be a lie, so you're like, oh, he might actually be a bad guy, and you don't really know until the very ending, and I think that's great. I really enjoy that aspect to it, and I think just the other characters are constantly kind of on edge with him, but then you also get some nice scenes where they're all bonding and just building puzzles together, listening to music and watching movies. So the whole movie is done really well with just the suspense factor. It's very, very suspenseful, and played out pretty well, played out the way that I think anyone would react in that situation. Like the main girl, the whole film, she's not entirely convinced. The other guy down there who's with them is, he believes there was an attack and that he's in the safe place, but this girl just feels she's been kidnapped, and she's just not ever overly convinced that, the earth actually is completely destroyed and everyone has died and all that. So, but at the same time, you feel that way, and you're not going to want to leave, because you do think, what if the air is contaminated, or there is some creature out there, and I'm going to die instantly when I go up there. So I could see myself reacting in this situation the way that this girl does, where she doesn't necessarily just want to escape the entire time because she's not too sure. So, like I said, I think it's all played out really well. I just think the final part is just gets a little bit silly in a way, gets a little bit too, I guess, sci-fi for me, and I guess that's sort of how it plays a little more into the first one in a way, but I just don't really dig it. But other than that, I think the rest of the movie is really well done. There's one just really shocking scene in the film that's really good. It's one of those one of those things you're not suspecting to happen, and then it just happens really quick, and it's a shock even when you rewatch the film. When it happens, it's just the way it's done is really well done. So yeah, I really enjoy this. I always gave this one a 7.5 out of 10 because of that ending, me not liking it. It always dragged it down quite a bit for me, but I'm actually going to up it to an 8 out of 10 for the enjoyability factor that the rest of the film gives you, and you know, just the performances, the way the bunker looks is really cool as well, just really well designed, so you know, that's just enjoyable to look at visually. So 8 out of 10 for 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's one of those ones that when you're watching it, you're completely enthralled with it. You know, it's not one where you can really multitask that well because you just want to keep watching it even if you have seen it multiple times before. So I always give credit to movies for that because that means it's a good movie and it's got good rewatchability. So 8 out of 10, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Definitely check it out if you have not. Definitely prefer this one over the, you know, just the regular Cloverfield. So yeah, I've never seen Cloverfield Paradox. I believe that came out 2 years ago or last year. I believe it was 2018 that one came out. I never got around to watching that film, but yeah, these two, not that bad of movies. 8 out of 10. Thank you guys once again for joining me for this weekly dose of horror, and as always, I'll see you next week for the next one.